Hello, and thank you for joining us on this webinar to accelerate your asset management program. My name is Barry Kelly, and today I'm joined by Hein Schwartz and Rob Santos, who will both be taking part in this presentation. For those who haven't attended one of our webinars before, we will be recording this session, and we'll email you the recording along with the PDF of the slides, and assuming there's a number of questions with a Q&A document as well. If you have any follow-up questions about the webinar, feel free to contact Hein, Rob, or myself using the emails listed at the end of the presentation. Just a little background. I say during the webinar, if you have any questions about the content we're presenting, please use the Q&A panel. You'll see it at the screen there. And also, be sure to choose Ask All Panelists. Type your questions in the box and then click Send. We'll also pause throughout the webinar to take questions, and we'll take more again at the end. I'm hoping there will be a lot of interaction with this, but feel free to type in your questions at any time and respond as we can. With that, I will turn this over to Rob Santos, our Director of Public Works, to give us an introduction of what we're covering today.
Hello, thank you for joining this webinar. The purpose of this webinar is to introduce an integrated approach to usage and configuration of Esri applications for asset information collection to support your asset management program. So assets fundamentally exist to provide value or service to your customers and also to your organization. To derive value from our assets, we must have asset information. As asset information allows asset managers to make evidence-based and data-driven decisions on maintenance, operations, and renewals of your assets. So to derive value from asset information, it must be effectively and efficiently captured, stored, and analyzed. A common business problem that we see across the country is that asset managers face regularly decisions in terms of maintenance and replacements alternatives based on sparse data about their assets and the current state of condition of their assets, their relative risk of failure, and their level of performance and service delivery. This makes it very difficult to optimize the selection of investments in a short period of time and also in the long planning horizon, such as a 1-year, 5-year, or 10-year horizon for maintenance and renewals due to the lack of asset information. Also combined with tightening regulations, aging infrastructure, new regulations, and increasing operational costs, organizations must make asset decisions daily, such as to repair or to replace, maintenance prioritization, and capital expenditure prioritization with limited resources. As such, asset information analysis, such as condition, failure, maintenance, and performance analysis are critical for effective tactical and strategic decision-making. In terms of the architecture related to Esri solutions, in this case here, SmartGIS is about connecting people and integrating processes and all data about our assets. This means integrating our systems of record, the centralized asset registry with systems of engagement, which are the tools and applications we use to derive value from our assets, and with systems of insight that allow us to analyze, predict, model, and extrapolate information about our assets to make optimal lifecycle management decisions. In fact, the WebGIS pattern brings these all three aspects together into a single platform, which is the ArcGIS platform. This will help by bringing the parts of the organizations together to help organizations understand their asset performance, increasingly in real time, be aware, be alert, and be responsive. We need to break down the barriers between the business units, connect processes, bring it all together for improved efficiencies in workflows, collaboration, and communication. The solution that we are about to present will enable you to easily and quickly begin capturing asset information to provide insight into the state of your assets and promotes efficient use of workforce by leveraging the capabilities of Esri applications. You'll be able to dispatch your workforce in real time to address assignments for activities such as condition assessments, customer complaints related to asset performance or service disruption due to asset failure, and the maintenance of your asset inventory while capturing critical asset details for analysis. So now I'll pass it over to Barry Kelly and Chaim Schwartz to provide additional information on the solution to help you accelerate your asset management program.
Thanks, Robin. Great introduction. So we're going to cover today. Thanks, Rob. A great introduction. There's, again, a lot to cover. We're, again, very excited about this offering. So we're going to start off as in the overview also of sort of the recent trends in asset management, things that we've been researching and keeping an eye on, the ArcGIS platform, as Rob described, some of the asset management features. Then looking at actually introducing this, we're calling the Workforce Starter Package. And Chaim's going to walk you through that and a complete demonstration, follow up by the road ahead and some resources that you have at your disposal. Based on the work that we've seen through the Canadian Infrastructure Report Card, the latest report in 2016, I think, shows a continuing declining trend in assets and the ability we have to take care of those. So it's key that we think of some of these messages and how we're doing work in our organization. Now, this is, again, a report card on municipalities, but it could refer to other asset managers as well. So municipalities, they own the core infrastructure assets that are critical to the quality of life in Canadians. For Canadians, that's what impacts us on a daily basis. We all live in Canada. 1/3 of our municipal infrastructure is in fair, poor, or very poor condition, increasing the risk of service interruptions. Increasing reinvestment rates will stop the deterioration of municipal infrastructure. This is definitely a challenge for getting municipalities to continually invest in infrastructure maintenance. Build for today's communities and tomorrow's Canada requires long-term planning. We can look at those things and forecast out what we think our growth rate and requirements will be in the future. And then, of course, all communities, particularly smaller ones, would benefit from increased asset management capacity. And so this is, again, building towards the type of tools that we're looking at today. Many of these organizations want to do better. They want to manage their assets, maximize the life cycle of their community assets to be most efficiently as possible, and more effectively to allocate field operations to improve productivity for staff, conducting field data collection, maximize the value of dollars spent to be able to prioritize repairs of existing infrastructure or the addition of new capital projects. And of course, increase transparency and quality of service to our citizens, so increasing transparency inside the organization and outside the organization as well. So what we're looking at now is the Workforce Starter Package itself. So you're going to see it as a collection of these applications that we have that many of you are familiar with already. And we will, again, look at how this has been structured to help jumpstart or start a number of organizations, whether you are brand new or well-established. So it's a solution, as we mentioned already, for assignment and task management. It allows us to assist in improving your asset inventory, their accuracy and completeness. Rob talked about system of record. We're looking at how do we grade that inventory. It's a constant ongoing process. We need to manage that effectively. Implement asset templates to capture key assets and service delivery performance measures. There are a number of these applications that have been developed by Esri, and we're going to leverage those in this solution, again, to create a more effective structure. So ideally, we want to replace paper-based workflows or even spreadsheets as well, get this system into a definable, repeatable process, capture the condition assessment of assets. What is the current condition? And look at those trends going forward. Capture asset failure and repair activities as well. So these are structured processes that will help you maintain those assets and get a better view of what's going on and the trends and patterns in your organization. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chaim Schwartz, who is then going to drill into a little deeper and with a full demonstration.
Thank you, Barry. Right. So for this demonstration, the scenario that we are presenting is where you are in charge of managing an asset inventory for your municipality, as well as you are in charge of both a preventative and a reactive maintenance program. And you require a solution for managing your operations and collecting the data to support your asset management and reinvestment programs. We will demonstrate how you can implement the Esri suite of apps to build a system that supports accessing and updating your inventory from the field, managing a preventative inspection program, and we will demonstrate that using a hydrant inspection program, and also managing a reactive maintenance program, and finally monitoring and reporting on your programs. In this slide, we are presenting a high-level introduction to the various apps that we will be using in this demo. One thing to note is that this demo will not be a deep dive into the technical aspects and configurations of the various apps. Rather, we hope what you will get from this is an understanding of what can be achieved using the Esri suite of apps and the out-of-the-box capabilities to support your asset management program. For more information regarding specific apps and specific configurations, please refer to the resources slide at the end of this presentation. The main app that actually initiates our workflow is the Workforce for ArcGIS app, which we will be using to coordinate field staff and assignments. Using Navigator for ArcGIS or even Waze, Google Apps, and Apple Maps supported on ArcGIS Explorer and the new and exciting Collector Aurora project, you can navigate to your assignments, to your assets, to capture your asset and maintenance data. And for capturing the data in the field, we have two apps, Survey 123 for ArcGIS and Collector for ArcGIS. And we typically like to describe the difference between the two, such as that Collector is a map-centric app, whereas Survey 123 is a form-centric app. So if you need to collect actual geographic data, digitize your locations, that's when you want Collector. And if you want more smart form capabilities, branched questions, pre-populated answers, that's when you go for Survey 123. For monitoring your operations and your data collection procedures, we are using Operations Dashboards for ArcGIS. And at the top of this diagram, you can see we're using Web App Builder and Survey 123 as an advanced step to actually start the process one step further ahead, where you generate requests and assignments so that you can base off your assignments based on those incoming service requests from your customers or from the public. On the right side of this slide, you can see story maps that we are using as a container. And the name of story maps is a little bit misleading here because we are not using it to tell a story. Rather, story maps does a great job serving as a container. So if you're the end user, you don't need to know how this is working or which of these apps is supporting you at the moment. The apps are seamlessly integrated in a central location, providing you with a comfortable and effective user experience. Before we start a demo, we want to share a quick poll with you that should be available to you in a few seconds to get a feeling of which applications you are using currently in your organization. This should take a few moments, and you should be able to see this right now on the right-hand side of your screen. Please take a few moments to complete these to give us some background for this discussion on computer maintenance, on your CMMS systems, and the Esri apps that you may be using already in the organizations. While you complete these answers, I want to note a few notes that I want to mention are, one, this is not a work management system. Rather, it is a system that supports your workforce management and capturing asset information to support your asset management program. And also, two principles or objectives that guided us through preparing this demonstration and the Jumpstart package are, one, leveraging your existing investment in ArcGIS technology. So all these apps that you can see on this slide are actually available to you at no additional cost if you have an ArcGIS subscription already. The only exception here is Navigator for ArcGIS, which has specific capabilities. And as said, you can even use Waze, Google Maps, or Apple Maps as new supportive functionalities. The second principle is configure first and leave configurations for later if required at all. So all the functionalities that we will demonstrate here are based on configuration of out-of-the-box tools. when we say leave customization for later, we actually mean downloading the source code, changing the JavaScript, rehosting your code on your web servers. And there's two main reasons why this is so important that we try to encourage to first configure wherever possible. One, it's just easier. You don't require a developer for any changes you want to make down the road. And two, when you customize, you're on your own. So any enhancements to the ArcGIS platform will require you to migrate your code and make sure it is still supported. That's why we always recommend that to configure using the out-of-the-box functionalities wherever possible. I believe we have all the poll questions answered. I believe we have a few more maybe seconds until this poll closes. And I will now share the poll results. And thank you for all of you taking the time and completing these questions. And you should be able to see the answers here. So do you have a computerized maintenance management system in place? Some of you have, some of you don't, and most of you don't. So that's really interesting to see. And these apps actually can work with your enterprise system, but you don't have to necessarily have one in place. And in this, as we said, in this demonstration, we are actually showing how you can use it as a standalone solution. Which of the following Esri apps are you using? So Collector is a big star here, and Web App Builder, and I'm happy to hear that because these are really powerful apps. And I see Story Maps are also very popular. Let's go Server 123, and I want to encourage you to use Server 123. It's a great app. It has a lot of very powerful functionalities for building that logic into your form. And Explorer and Workforce. Okay, so I'm really happy to see not a lot of you are using Workforce because we want to show the capabilities of Workforce today. And I'm sure you'll be really excited about some of the opportunities there. And Explorer as well. We will demonstrate that because, honestly, I haven't used Explorer in the last 2 years. And what I remembered from Explorer was the last version. But a lot of new functionalities have been added to Explorer, and I hope that by demonstrating these today, you may find new uses for that app as well. And I will start now and go ahead and start the demo. Okay. So a quick overview of what I will be showing in this demo. We will start off with the inventory, which is the foundation for your asset management program. And then we will show, demonstrate one preventative maintenance program. That's our hydrant inspection program. We will go on to a reactive maintenance program. We will show how you can manage those reactive assignments, dispatch, and also even have a public-facing service request form. We will demonstrate a new feature available with Server 123 reporting on your records. And finally, we will show how you can monitor this whole process and your operations, including your asset data information collection using ArcGIS dashboards. So back to our inventory. And the inventory is our foundation. However, to really leverage your inventory to the fullest and promote awareness, an important step is making it accessible using a web map like this for your internal in the office needs. However, also for your mobile staff. So that could be your managers, it could be your field staff, colleagues from other departments. And what we're demonstrating here is the use of ArcGIS Explorer that I mentioned. And the greatest feature about ArcGIS Explorer is zero configuration. So if you have a web map out there, all you need is that web map. You download the Esri Explorer app, and it's all there. And if you can make your data public, it doesn't even cost, it doesn't even have any associated costs. It's a free app. Everybody can view your data and do much more. So I will show a few of these features, and I'll start off with the navigation, which I love. So I'm selecting my hydrant point here, and I can navigate to that using my installed navigation apps on my device. So ArcGIS Navigator, but also Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze. And I'll go ahead and use Waze here, which actually allows me to navigate to my hydrant using Waze, and that's pretty amazing. You also have another pretty nice feature here, the compass mode. So the compass mode is when you are already standing next to your asset, but you can't see it, either because it's behind a backyard, or maybe it's been paved over and you're looking for a valve box. And what this actually allows you is to align your device with your current location in respect to your asset. And it shows you a direct line to reach your asset. And the last feature I want to show here is the markup feature. So you can see over here, you have the markup feature. So really, Explorer is not about collecting data in the field, and we will show how you do that later. But if you want to enable your, as I said, maybe your managers or maybe your field staff to add markup in the field, you can, for instance, add a point. You're going to say, maybe this hydrant needs to be over here. You can even add a label, let's say hydrant, and I will add a note saying this hydrant should be 10 meters to the south. And you can even highlight it, give it some color, and that's it. And now that you have this markup, you can share it. And there's a couple ways you can share it. You can share it as a screenshot. You can share the markup as a message, an email, or you can share it using ArcGIS Online. And I will go ahead and do that. And when you share that on ArcGIS Online, you actually can access this directly from ArcGIS Online, or for that point, even from ArcGIS Desktop using Pro. And here you have all that information. So that's pretty amazing. Once again, no editing capabilities, but I can actually share that information collected in the field. I have my label, I have my notes, and I can share them and perform any asset updates required based on those notes that I'm enabling my staff to collect in the field and share and communicate back to me. So that's the asset inventory. From here, we want to go ahead and say, what if I want to enable my customers to actually collect data in the field? So that's really where ArcGIS Collector, and we've seen that many of you have already used ArcGIS Collector. So what I want to show today is the new version of ArcGIS Collector. So you can see on my screen here, I have two collector versions. One of them is still in beta. It's what's called the Aurora project, which is really more than just a new version. It's a new generation, a lot of new functionalities, a whole new interface, and it should be available on iOS pretty soon. So I'm going to show how you can, some of these new features using this same web map. So here I am once again with my hydrant, but this time I can actually select my hydrant, and I can enter editing mode. And you can already see that the user experience here for editing the asset information, we're using the screen much better. You can control the extent of your table and your map. I'm going to enter the editing mode. You can see this crosshair here helping me find the exact location for my hydrant. I'm going to update my point. You can see I have direct access to taking a photo attachment, and I will submit this new location, and that's it. And when I submit this new location, it will be available. Here you can see it's already been pushed back to the south online. So that's ArcGIS Collector, and that's your inventory, which, as I said, is really the foundation for asset management. But what if you are in charge of this inspection program and the preventative maintenance program of your hydrants? So that's really where workforce comes into place, because you need to start coordinating. And you have more than one field staff out there, and you have many assignments that you need to coordinate and dispatch to your field force. So first I'll demonstrate how you do that with one more simpler scenario of one hydrant. So you can just go ahead and collect and select your hydrant, and you're creating an assignment based off this hydrant. It's a hydrant inspection, and you can define all those inspections. You can see we've already captured the asset ID, and this is essential. So everything we're doing here today, all of that maintenance and all these activities in the field are tied back to our asset ID, which allows us later to perform any analysis we want for our decision making and reinvestment programs. I'm going to assign it, and when you assign, now my role right now is as a supervisor, and I can see my field staff. I can see who's working, who's not working. The workers can actually change that status to update their supervisor. I can see the workload for each of my workers. I can even see the distance. So this is me 4.1 kilometers away from this asset, and since I'm the only one working, I will assign this assignment to me. The priority can be set as critical. The due date is by tomorrow, time by the end of the day. And ID is where if you do have a work management system or a CMMS in place and you want to tie this assignment back to that system, you can do that. And I will create this assignment. Once this assignment is created and assigned to me, on my phone as field staff, I will actually receive a notification in my Workforce app, a notification that a new hydrant inspection has been added to me. And here I can see it. It's a hydrant inspection. I can see all that information. I will first acknowledge receiving this, and you will see when I do that, this point of my assignment will change in. Oh, sorry. No, so this should be there. So once I acknowledge this, the color here changed to light red, notifying my supervisor that I actually received and acknowledged this assignment. And back to my screen as the field staff, when I start working on my assignment, that too will be communicated back to my supervisor. And in a few moments, you will see this is changing to a green dot, and I will start performing my inspection. Now, I will click here and enter my inspection form. So I've got a specifically designed inspection form for my hydrant inspection program, and you can see the activity type is already there. The asset ID is already there. I can capture the start time and start collecting all my condition information, condition of the valves, of the caps, of the packing, and you can see the formatting options that I have in Server 1, 2, 3 are really making my work as field staff much easier. And I have a calculated field here giving me the overall hydrant condition. It does not need painting. It has not been flushed, and I want to confirm that it is a Mueller take, and that's it. I will say that it has been completed by myself. The end time is right now. I'll double-click that, and I'll send that in. Once I'm done with gathering this information, and all this information is pushed back into one central maintenance log table. So later on, we'll show what we can do with that table and how we can access all that information. I go back to my Workforce app, and I tell my supervisor I'm done. If I want, I can add some notes here. And that's it. The item is not on my to-do list anymore, and my supervisor will be notified that the assignment has been done, has been completed. Now, what if, you can now see it, so the green point is now updated, notifying my supervisor that I'm done. Now, what if you need to perform something more complex? So you don't want to work one by one. You actually want to select multiple assets. So Workforce works based on a basic web map, essentially. So, and that's where the magic happens. So you can actually enter that back-end map data and perform any kind of analysis or manipulation you want. And in our case, let's say I want to assign all the hydrants in this zone, in this beat, 52M11. So what I will do is I will just filter my hydrants using this zone. I will go back to my application. I will actually need to refresh it, and here it is. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to select all these hydrants. So I have 1800s in this inspection zone. I will select all of them, and I will batch create assignments on all of these assets. Now, that's pretty powerful, and you can see, once again, I have all the asset IDs tied to my assignments, and that's how I collect data on my assets. I will assign hydrant inspection to all of them. Once again, assign it to myself. The priority is critical. Due date by the end of next week, maybe. 18 hydrants is okay, and I will create that. So that's how you batch create assignments based on your specific program and needs. And that was the example of my preventative maintenance program. From here, I'll go ahead to the reactive maintenance program. Now, a reactive maintenance program is larger and wider and basically includes multiple types of assets and multiple types of assignments that you need to create based on those assets. And we will actually take this even one step further and show you how you can even add a step of capturing service requests and creating assignments based on those service requests. So the way this works is I create a new service request, and you see this is happening through server 123, and server 123 is embedded within a web app builder, within a story map, but actually you as the end user, you don't need to know all that. It all works seamlessly, and you can start collecting all the information. So you've got the caller name, telephone number, and you can see that I can actually enforce the formatting of the phone and the email, and Jeremy has to be, so if I enter information and I forget to add the whole address, I will be notified. And this caller is informing us of a roads and drainage pothole problem. So huge pothole as of this morning on Dufferin and Lawrence, south of intersection. Okay, so that's the information. I will capture this location. So Dufferin and Lawrence, Toronto. I can go ahead and refine this location. And once I do that, I have the whole full text address available. And this is already assigned to Matthew. So when we identified this as a roads and drainage issue, this was already assigned behind the scenes. We already assigned all of these to the supervisor, which is Matthew. The task accomplished, we will fill once it is. It's in review, and I will send this in. Now, when I send this service request, two things happen. First thing is that a new record is created. So here it is. It's on Dufferin, it's south of Lawrence, and we have all this information. It has a number, it's service request 84. And the other thing that happens at this same time is that the supervisor or the email associated with the supervisor receives this email saying, hey, there's a new service request. It's roads and drainage, and that's why you're getting this email. All the information, a link back to here. And now the supervisor, so now I will play the supervisor's role. The supervisor can enter, review this request, maybe see whatever he has in this area, and if required, he can create an assignment in Workforce based on this service request. Now, there's two ways you can do that. One is you can base it off the asset. So I have the road segment here. I can base it off and pass this asset ID to my assignment, or there's actually a benefit in basing it off your service request. And there's a few reasons for that. One is that this way I can actually pass on all of this information already captured. And the second one is that I've already actually captured the accurate location of this pothole. So when I go ahead and create an assignment based on this service request, I have all this information. The service request ID, I can decide I want to create an assignment for this as a pothole repair. I have all the description. I can add the asset ID. I have the location already captured. I can assign a priority. So that's a priority for Workforce. It's a critical assignment, and that's it. I could also even capture the dispatch info, but we will actually do that within Workforce. So I'm creating this assignment, and when I go into my Workforce project, I will see this new assignment created for me that I can access and now dispatch to my field force. So here it is, pothole repair. I can zoom into it. It's south of Lawrence on Dufferin. I can see all the information passed into Workforce. So the description for my field staff to take care of the pothole. I have the asset ID. I have the service request ID, so I can tie it back to that. The due date has to be by tomorrow. Once again, by the end of the day. And it's critical, and that's it. I will assign it to myself once again, and save. Back to my role as a field staff, you can see, oh, these are my 18 critical assignments added before when we batch created those hydrant inspections. So you can have multiple projects for your field staff depending on the role and the assignments that you want to assign them. And here I have my pothole repair. And once again, I will acknowledge receiving this. I will start working on it. And now, since we're not talking about a specific program, we can demonstrate how you have multiple inspection forms for your different asset types and activities associated. So once again, I will enter my forms. I will survey, use survey 1, 2, 3 for my inspections. And since I know this is a pothole repair, I'm choosing that. And based on this decision, and you can see that once again, all my information is already here captured, passed on. And now I have a specific a set of options of questions opened here because this is a pothole repair. So the length is 54 centimeters. The width is 50 centimeters. That means I have a calculated field here of 0.27 square meters. It's asphalt surface type, and it has been completed by myself. End time is now, and that's it. So you can see I can capture many types of information, and I can associate specific forms with specific assets based on our programs and needs. So once that is done, the inspector can actually review this, and if approved, he can go ahead and close this service request based on the work and the assignment completed in the field. One additional thing we want to show you is how you can actually add another step here and have a public-facing web form. So this is actually a simplified version of the form we showed you before for creating that service request. And this can be hosted on your city's website. And once again, this will usually be a simplified version because you don't want to include too many details maybe. And when the user submits a request from here, it will actually go back to the same system over here. It's writing back to the same web service, same feature service, and the whole life cycle can be managed once again through here, if required, creating an assignment based off it, and so on until closing it. That was the demonstration for a reactive maintenance program, and that brings us to the two final steps over here. So you want to be able to report and also monitor. So reporting, I mentioned before, this is a new functionality available on Survey 1, 2, 3. So we have all our service requests created here, and maybe I want to, I want to actually create a hard copy of this record. And there's many reasons why we still sometimes need hard copies. And you can start off by filtering, and there's a lot of pretty powerful capabilities. You are filtering your table. And you can also export all of this data for further analysis in CSV, in Excel, shape files, file geodatabase, any of your preferred formats. Or you can, as I said, report on it. So when you report, you can select this selected record. You can batch report 26 records. And the way you do this, the way you format your reports is a simple Word document. So you can rearrange your report and give it the look and feel you want it to have. And you upload that Word document, and that's it. So I will generate this report, and this will take a few seconds. And while this is generated, I will go ahead and show the dashboard. Dashboard is really where you are able to have this view over your entire operations and how your assignments are proceeding and the status of them. And you can really refine those to show the KPIs and levels of service that you are required to align to. So in this case, we're showing our maintenance activities. And you can see I have a table I can sort by my most recent activities. I have a summary here by the assignment type. So bridge inspections, and this is all interactive. So if I want to go and dive deeper into my hydrant inspections, I can select that. And everything gets updated. I can search them on the map, on the list, bridge inspections, low water pressure, or I can filter by date, or maybe I am the field worker and I want to be able to see what I did, or if you want, you can filter by the inspector. So you can really filter out your data, analyze it, see which service requests are still open, are still closed, who's assigned to them, and go back and check why they have not been closed or what still needs to be done there. So back to my report. Here it is. It's been downloaded to my desktop. And you can see we've just created a sample report of one of those records I selected. So all of the information that you collected and captured for that record are now available to you as a hard copy that you can print or create a PDF based off it. You have the location, and you can control the zoom, you control the formatting. It's all black and white here, but you can make it colorful and any way you really want it to support your needs. And once again, that's for reporting on a specific record, or if you want to download everything to CSV. And the dashboard is really where you are able to monitor the entire process and get a feel and understanding of where your program is at this point. Everything here is real time. Barry, that's it, and I will move it back to you.
Excellent work, Chaim. Thank you very much for that. Now, I think before we jump any further, we'll take a couple of Q&A questions we had, and maybe ask for your input on these two if you're still alive. One of them is, what license is required for this application?
Yes. So all of these applications, once again, except Navigator for ArcGIS, all of these applications are available to you at any basic ArcGIS subscription license, even the basic. However, if you want, and we didn't, so actually all these tables, so we have the assets tables for each asset type, and then we have the maintenance table, and these are actually related tables, and that gives you quite a lot of functionalities for analysis and querying. So relationship classes, that's a very specific feature that requires standard license. And a different scenario is if you want to be able to work in a versioned environment, so you have versioned editing capabilities in the field before you push it back to your office. These are two scenarios where you would need a standard license, but you can actually build this entire platform with, on a basic level, just not having these specific capabilities.
Very good, thank you. And there was another question, but they responded that they did figure it out. It was regarding can one app do workforce and collector? And like you've demonstrated that, workforce is that container of all the assignments, and then collector, survey 1, 2, 3 are the applications that physically do the collection inspections and those kinds of things. Did you want to add anything to that comment?
No, that's right. And so these apps are really, it's like a mosaic or puzzle that you can build it any way you want. You really have a lot of flexibility to build it the way that supports your specific business needs. So what we showed here today is one way to configure it. And yes, Workforce is that first step that you initiate your progress. And from there on, after assigning, using Workforce, your users are using Survey 1, 2, 3 or Collector to collect the data. So everything really works together in a synchronized process.
Very good. Another is, can this type of maintenance inspection be applied to lines and polygon features as well, for example, as part of monitoring roads and winter operations?
That's a great question. One question we asked ourselves at an early stage. And the answer is yes, and I think we demonstrated that when using this for pothole inspections and fixing potholes. So yes, you can actually create assignments based on the linear features by calculating or you don't usually need to calculate it. You can do that on the fly, retrieving with the arcade expressions, that's the technology behind it, retrieve the centroid of the linear feature, and based off that location, create your assignments. Or, as we showed today, you can even create the assignment by just refining the location of that pothole or water main break to the exact location of the break or pothole.
This is a good one, which I don't think we did, but we've done in the past, is does Survey 123 have the ability for, oops, scroll down there, for pictures of what they're asking for, an image, the ability for the public to send a picture of the issue? Is what the actual question was, yes.
Yes, so you know what, I want to be a little bit careful here answering that on top of the head because that functionality was not supported up until a while ago. I'm pretty sure this has been added in the last release of Survey 123. So public forums, and that was a limitation in the past. I'm pretty sure this is already alive, that public forums now support attachments and pictures, yes. But I would confirm that, and you know what, Barry, I will follow up on that with an answer specifically on that question.
Super. There are quite a few more questions there. I think we'll come back to after we've sort of wrapped up a few of these slides. I think we have plenty of time since we have 15 minutes left. And just a few other items that we wanted to look at beyond this, and we sort of, where do you go from here? I think we've done polls. Just a summary of some of the things we've been looking at today is, as you've seen from the demonstration, and our intent, I think, has been achieved. The concept is, integrating solutions for all sizes of organizations. I think a lot of smaller municipalities will benefit from this, but I think there are many larger organizations that are looking for that quick start and more organized approach to things. Leveraging your existing ArcGIS investment. Now, there may be a number of people here on the call that aren't existing ArcGIS users, and we'll certainly help them get up and running as well. But I think that there's many that are collecting information, and again, not in a structured fashion. So we talked about the system of record and system of engagement. These are helping you define that and get that structure together of that and develop the workflow. So how do you capture this information? How do you assign this work? Getting beyond more than just an email or just a paper list that you send out to staff in the morning. And then it also is extensible into other applications. So there's a whole host of applications on the solutions.arcgis.com site and other business partner solutions as well, too, that we also represent. But so it's not, you're building up that inventory and getting it ready for future work that your organization might be interested in. What you get with the package may be on your mind, and this is again a package that we're looking at. How do we help you get up and running? And from the discussions we've had with organizations, they come from many starting points. But the idea initially we'll have to do is what we call a technology readiness review, making sure you know exactly, we know where you're at, and of course the business requirements of where you want to go. Create a workforce project. You saw Haim working with projects. Link it to a Survey 123 maintenance form with specialized inspection templates based on the type of work that you want to focus on. Support for any remaining required specialized inspection templates. And then also configuring an operations dashboard for ArcGIS, displaying current and historic maintenance information. Again, you saw all this in the demo. And of course, there's support through that, the solution walkthrough, support for the user acceptance testing is what UAT stands for, deployment, including training. So it's not just a package. We're here to support you and moving forward beyond that as well, too. This is something we want to build a very, very strong foundation. Road ahead, I mean, there's other things. Yes, we want you to accomplish these basic functions, but you're also thinking, what do I do with that data? There's a lot of information data that's collected that isn't acted upon, and we want you to be able to utilize that in other forms. PSAB reporting, right down to FIR reporting, et cetera. The ability through, we have an asset valuation toolkit, and there's other tools that you have at your accessible to take that data that's in your geodatabase and now use it in other types of applications. Asset management solutions, looking at lifecycle planning, capital investment planning, risk assessment. You're collecting all this condition information. Let's start looking at risks. So these are more advanced type functions. Once you start collecting that data, you can start doing better planning. And I think these are actionable decision-based actions that are based on the kinds of information you have, not just a best guess. These are very definable or defensible type solutions. Or even looking at, say, a more robust maintenance management solution, adding more features. Many will be looking at this and thinking, boy, I'd like to extend it into other applications. Well, as Haim indicated, this is not the intent of this starter package, but it is extensible to these other types of applications. And then looking at, as I talked about, the analysis of data, how do we extend it into other things like your system of insights. We presented these webinars last year, and it will give you the links to those. You can have a look at some of those features. If you've attended our Esri user conferences, either in San Diego or across Canada, you'll have seen our professional services team, technical solutions team, presenting many different aspects of how they're using insights for ArcGIS to do further analysis, moving from that reactive to proactive type maintenance, and even further out we can start thinking about predictive type analysis as well too, and for future needs. So it enables your organization to exceed their goals based on knowing what you're doing and where you're going. And what I love about Insights is the ability to ask all sorts of questions you didn't know you could, and because of the information, the layering on of different types of information. There are a few funding opportunities available. If you're not aware, if you're anyone from the Quebec region, we had an excellent program for the rest of Canada called the Municipal Asset Management Program. It's now closed to all non-Quebec municipalities, so anyone in Quebec still has access to that, and they can apply for funding up until April 1st, 2019. Quebec started a little later in the program, and so that's why it's been extended on to them. And then ongoing, every municipality has gas tax funds. And there's a category called capacity building, where you can take a portion of those gas tax funds towards an asset management program. So if you're looking for information, please follow up with us on that. We will certainly lead you in the right direction for that, point you in the right direction. Next steps, I would also encourage you to join the community, GeoNet community. There's an excellent community of ArcGIS or GIS professionals as a whole that are there to assist each other. And there are very specific verticals as well too. Also get involved with regional and national asset management organizations. I happen to be on the board of the Canadian Network of Asset Management, an excellent organization, but there are also provincial organizations as well. After this session, you will be receiving a survey, post-survey, and then you'll also be able to contact us with other questions and follow-up and contact information as well too. So we certainly look forward to hearing from you and getting your feedback on what you saw today. I think there was also a question regarding, will we get the recording of this? And yes, you will get a PDF of the slides that were presented, and also recording of the presentation that you saw, so you'll be able to replay that to other people in your organization. And also, I think with the questions I see, there's quite a few of them now. We may not get to them all. We will send out a Q&A document, so you'll have those questions as well as follow-up after the fact. I mentioned resources. Back in, it was spring of 2018, Esri Canada put out their Arc North News was dedicated to asset management. So you'll see it articles based on asset management in different verticals. And I highly recommend you review that. The webinars we did last year with System of Record Engagement and Insight are there for you to have a review and get some information on. And also just even more recently, the technical workshops. There is also a wide variety of training that's available on the Esri.com site, Esri Canada site, that you can access and learn more about these applications. So I encourage you to do that as well. Finally, thank you very much for attending this session. I hope you found it informative. I think we are looking forward to it. We're quite excited about this solution that we've put together. Now, it's a collection of the existing applications, but as you've seen, it's in a nicely packaged format that I think is going to help organizations, any type of organization that has to manage assets, and that covers a wide area. And with that, I think we're going to then continue on with those questions. I see quite a few of them. And just scrolling down.